And moving to a different kind of safety, our school safety. As you know,
Yeah.
across America, there's been a lot of unfortunate incidents that have been happening in schools. So what steps is the district taking to prevent these kinds of issues and to make students really feel safe and comfortable coming to school?
Well, the first thing we did was something that most schools districts don't do, and we did a safety audit. And so that has some risk to it because when you have an outside agency come in and give you a full report on your safety, you have to be open to hearing, everything that you've done right or unfortunately wrong. And so we have a stellar team that came in, and these are your highest level of security, people that have been in the military and overseas, and they have incredible credentials, and they spent some time on our campuses, and they were able to penetrate our campuses, and getting that result back was really eye-opening for me, and because I knew that we were pretty open campus, more so here in California than I was used to, but I was really surprised at the lack of consistency of some of our safety protocols, and not that it's any one person's fault, but we have changes of principals, we have changes of staff, we have, and then people come on, and it's not done, and there was this big. There's this thinking that that's not going to happen in Beverly Hills. Nothing won't happen. That won't happen here. And so, getting people to understand that, I shared some of the information with the staff at the opening day rally, and they were pretty surprised too. So that created this awareness. We knew that we needed to have somebody that was on campus that was armed, and that was another decision that most school districts are wrestling with right now. We've made that decision, and the reason we did is we do have security at our schools, but to have somebody that is armed is somebody that's right there on the scene. We have a great police department. Their average time is, I believe, 2 minutes reporting to an incident, but for us, and being a high-profile school district, it's you have the largest amount of the density of young people in any one place in the entire city is in our schools. And so we've made that tough decision to have armed individuals on campus. And that, again, some people believed in that, some people did not believe in that. But for us, it was part of a new system. And so that was, I think, a great addition, and they're here, and they work very well with our police department. They've gone through training, and we have a great relationship between this is what the police department does, this is what our armed security does, and that has caught the eye of the attention of the nation. So we were just invited to the White House to share what our security program is, and so that was great to be able to talk to senior level leaders in Washington about what we're doing here in Beverly Hills. And the most exciting part is the kind of that next part is the thing that people haven't tackled yet in any school district yet is the preemptive piece, because we've got the reactive piece, we've got the staff professional development piece. Like, those are all things that are going well, and we're consistent now in all of our schools. But the one thing that nobody's doing is this preemptive piece. And when I say that, when you hear about these events like on TV, you always get people saying, how the reporters go up to people and they start asking about like the person, who was doing the shooting, and 9 times out of 10, you'll hear people say, you know what, I always wondered about that student, or, you know what, there was something, he was kind of an odd person, or, there was something that wasn't right. And so when you hear that so many times, that's like, okay, what could we have done to provide, better assistance, better help at an earlier, instead of waiting for something to happen? And so the next piece of our security plan is a really exciting one, and it's called the Fusion Center. And it's this center within the philosophy is, how can we work together as a city and a community to ensure that if there's something that's happening in the community, that we're sharing that information with the police and the police are sharing it with us. So it's really, Fusion is more about kind of a fancier way of saying it's a communication sharing. And I'll give you an example. So not that this was a violent issue, but there was something that happened in the community where the police had to visit a home where there was a domestic issue between the father and the mother, and there was a second grade student that witnessed the whole thing and was really troubled. The next day, this student shows up at school, and so in having to go through that and then show up at school and then we don't know about it is kind of that missing link sometimes. And it may not be a violent issue, but it's that this student maybe needed help after seeing that. And so just the information sharing, so the police chief happened to say something to me because we were meeting. She goes, "Oh, I just want to let you know this happened with one of your second graders." And I go, "Thank you for telling, like, what school?" And so after our meeting, I immediately went to that school so I could speak with the counselor just to say, look, I don't need this broadcasted all around, but you need to keep your eye on the second grader because, how do you handle something like that when you're that young? So whether it's an issue that there's somebody has behavior that isn't appropriate or something in the community, we shouldn't be separate entities. Like we know information about our students, like we share, we're one community. So that Fusion Center, whether it's those types of situations or the big one is social media. And so there is a component of this communication sharing that actually looks at social media, ahead of time to see if something is, been planned or somebody says something like, that might be something physical the next day. We get that before or while that's being broadcasted to everybody.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so it's exciting because I feel like that's the one area that hasn't been looked at. Everyone just reacts. We want to try to get to it before something happens.